All right, and welcome everybody to Peaker's Advantage episode 20. We have Anthony Perfetto in the building. Of course, we have Maui Snake, Semphis, and Darian behind the scenes doing all the important stuff that I'm not capable of doing. So good thing he's here. Welcome, Anthony, to the show. Of course, I see that you really cleaned up. Nice, man. You didn't even clean up any of the background, nothing.
Yeah. I'm dating myself with the Skechers box behind me too, aren't I?
Yeah, no. He said he wanted to clean up before the show started. And we said, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. So I decided.
Now he's throwing me under the bus.
Yeah, so now
that didn't take long. You're setting the standard quick. All right.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
of course. It's what we do.
It's going to be that kind of show. Let's go. I'm ready.
Perfect. So, Anthony, welcome to the show, of course. And
Thanks for having
why don't you let everybody know what you do and what you're working on right now?
So my name is Anthony Perfetto. I'm a CS editor. I've been doing this for about 18 years now. I'm one of the, managers of the Style Productions Media Collective. I am currently employed by Do Not Peak Entertainment, run by Scoots and Alchemist.
Yep,
you guys might have heard them. You know, they're just they're up and comers, bunch of no names, honestly. I got hired by them about 2 weeks ago, and it's been great. It's been great working for them. Been great getting into esports professionally. That's been a new experience for me. I've always done it as a hobby. So to do it on a professional level and as a career, that is it's a huge change, life changing, honestly.
Nice, man. So what's it like working for Scott, like with his like sort of known xenophobia towards Italians and you being Italian yourself? What's it sort of like working under that?
Yeah, I've spent many a days in HR already. Just constant harassment, weird comments.
Yeah.
They have an HR department set up?
It's probably the height thing, you know.
Oh man, that's brutal. I'm not going to touch that one, but no, they're honestly some of the coolest bosses I've ever had.
For sure.
They're super down to earth, super candid. They communicate well, and they create a really relaxing environment to work in. They're probably the most suited people for the job that they're trying to do right now. They're 40 years of experience that they have combined.
Crazy.
It's incredible. Yeah. I brag about their vision all the time to a bunch of people that ask me about my job, because I've never met two people who have such a visualized direction of where they want to take a company and what they want to do with it. So it's really refreshing, and it's really cool to bounce ideas back and forth and hear, what they want to end up doing and where they want to take it. So it's awesome. I couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I really like those guys. Obviously, Jason and Scott, they're both, I'm big fans of both of them, and all the stuff they do, all the stuff they're going to be doing with Do Not Peak. I've been talking with Darian because we talked to Scott, a couple weeks back. And he expressed some interest in collaborating on some stuff, and I think that I've got like one really, really funny skit idea that I talked to Darian about that I haven't brought up to anybody else, and I'm not going to right now either. But you guys will see it if it happens in the new year. You guys will see it, and it will be fucking hilarious. So hopefully we can work with.
What a teaser! Yeah, you can't tease us
I know.
like that.
I'm teasing you already. I'm teasing everybody right now about it.
Well, Scott keeps a good secret because he hasn't said anything to me. So
yeah, well, that's because it was a very brief discussion.
I got you. He probably already forgot about it.
Yeah,
honestly.
He doesn't even know what happened.
When he actually left the conversation, he's like, "Wow, what a stupid idea!" God,
no, I didn't even tell him the idea for the skit yet either. He doesn't even know the idea yet.
I got you.
When I tell him about it, I think he'll be on board. To be honest, Darian, you can vouch for me on this one.
Oh yeah,
it's all right. It's all right.
Piece of shit. Piece of shit.
Hey, question about Do Not Peak. Did you have to relocate to Scottsdale, or are you working remotely for them?
No, I actually lived in Phoenix for 2 years now, and so it was like the biggest coincidence, ever. I basically was working as an X-ray tech at a hospital, and Jason slid into my DMs and was just like, "Hey, send me your resume." I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, sure." I mean, wow, I didn't even wow, yeah, absolutely, without question. It was such a weird sort of turn of events that fell into my lap. I don't know how I got so lucky with how everything just kind of fell in line and kind of snowballed from that original conversation that we had.
So what made
it's really unexpected.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I mean, I'm glad that it worked out. the fact that they hired a frag movie editor is kind of sweet. Like, just I'm trying to imagine like the type of stuff they're planning on doing with that. And like you said, they have a great vision. So I'm looking forward to whatever you guys come out with. That's for sure. What sort of made you decide that you wanted to do frag movies? You said you've been doing it for 18 years. I'm a big fan. Back in the day, I used to, I could bring up my old YouTube channel. I used to edit my own frag movies back in the day because I thought it was sick.
Oh yeah, that's where everyone gets started.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool. You know, obviously I haven't done that in forever, and I didn't pursue it in any way. But I have always loved the idea of frag movies. Frag movies are what got me into CS. My older brother showed me a Pentagram G-Shock frag movie from 2006, and I watched the frag movie, and I thought it was like the coolest thing ever, and it made me start playing Counter-Strike.
What was the name of it?
Pentagram G-Shock, the Polish style.
Doesn't ring a bell.
No, but if you guys can look it up on YouTube, Pentagram G-Shock, the Polish style. It was a 2006 frag movie from way back when, and it was one of the coolest videos I've ever seen. At the time, I was like, "Damn, this game is sick!" Like, I love it because I was like 10 at the time, maybe 11, and it made me want to play so bad. I remember there was a clip in it specifically of a nade stack, and I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. Like, oh my god,
they 10
all
in 2006.
Yeah, I was born. I was a 96er.
But that's the end of this interview. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I remember specifically. I saw a clip. Like there was like a part in the video where they all nade stacked one spot, and they blew up. And I thought, whoa, that is so cool! You can do that. And I was like, I want to play this game.
Yeah, that actually sounds familiar.
Yeah, so that's what actually got me into Counter-Strike to begin with. So, what sort of made you decide to sort of pursue making frag movies, if not more professionally?
By an Ichi, and that was what got him into the game.
That's what got me, man. No, it was
like
all
things. Of all
the most basic thing in the game.
It was like how they synced it with the music and how they changed camera angles as all the nades were coming. Like it was like the whole, like the actual like editing effect of it. I thought, whoa, that is cool. So,
yeah, it's exhilarating. Even to this day, I get a rush every time I create something really cool in a sequence or in a scene. There's just something about the marriage of music with video that transcends the game itself. I think it just adds just a layer to Counter-Strike that you really can't get anywhere else. You know, you have art within the game in so many different places, whether it's graphic design or journalism, or just the game itself, but nothing really matches or is comparable to just a properly designed and directed and edited frag movie. Especially if you have just that building of tension and anticipation and energy and excitement. There's something that just affects you like on a different level. It transcends everything about the game, and then that's honestly what got me into it back. I think it was 2002. And I was playing the game on my shitty compact computer, and my buddy was just like, "Oh man, look what I did!" And I go over his house, and he's got a cracked version of Fraps, you know. And back then, Fraps could only record at like 10 FPS if you're lucky. And so he's recording himself playing the game, and he's like, "Oh man, watch this!" And he takes the clip that he recorded with Fraps, and he throws it on Windows Movie Maker, and then he puts like it's like Soundgarden or something, you know, on over top of the frag, and there you go, you have a frag movie. You know, I think he was playing FY Ice World or something like that, and just put it together with Let the Bodies Hit the Floor, and we watched it and we're like, oh my god, that was like the coolest thing ever. It was so exciting to see, you playing the game and then matched up to a song. It almost felt like it was a music video that you would see on MTV. And so that sort of just spawned my love for the art of frag movie editing and for movie making in general. It's such a cool thing that costs $0. If you get lucky enough, if you just use built-in editing tools that you have on your computer already, and you go and you can obviously record for free. It's something that you can do without having to spend a lot of money, and it allows you to express your creativity and to develop yourself as an artist.
So what were the tools you first used when you were making your first movie?
Oh yeah, it was definitely Fraps and Windows Movie Maker. I mean, just the shittiest tools you'll ever find. Just nothing remotely technically sound.
No, I remember back in the day, I couldn't I didn't have like the editing program because I had like my brother had set up some like cracked version of Windows or something. Like I couldn't use the Windows programs. It was all messed up. So like I didn't have that editing tool, so I had to use some other one. I don't remember. I was like 11 or 12 at the time when I did my first frag movie. Like
so
you're
like
talking
Final
about.
Cut or something.
I don't know. I have no idea. I really don't. But I remember I couldn't get audio files into the edit. Like I couldn't like download a song and drag it into the thing. So, but the editing program had the option to record from a microphone. So I plugged my headphones into my phone, played the music through the headphones, and held the mic up to the earphones to record the song and the audio to put it into the actual thing. I was very dedicated at a young age to making this one frag movie, which was just a knife kill in a 3v3 scrim. It was I don't know.
I mean, I gotta give it to you. Your craftiness there is
yeah. No, I went for it.
I think that was that's pretty brilliant if you ask me, especially at your age. That's like what you're referring to. It probably is about codecs and decoders. And that's like the hardest thing about movie making, I think, for any newcomers, trying to understand how data is compressed and data is, unpacked and whatnot. Codecs and encoders and decoders were something that I had to like spend 3 months just teaching myself. Because that's if you don't know how to create, you can edit your movie all you want, but if you don't know how to pack it together and ship it out in a container in the proper way, it's never that the quality is never going to.
You can have such a nice looking movie and then you render it wrong and it just looks like shit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It looks like 240.
I mean, YouTube just completely destroys your movie if you don't trick it. We figured out a way that you can actually render a movie. You can make it in 1080, but then render it out in 1440 or 4K, and you can trick the YouTube algorithm to applying more bitrate to your movie. So then so then you get crisper images and cleaner
doesn't
quality.
YouTube allow 1440p now? Or
well, they do, but you're taking a 1080p movie, you're upscaling it, tricking YouTube into applying more bitrate.
Oh, so you just want the 1440 bitrate on the 1080p.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. You got it. Because they cap 1080, depending on the resolution, they cap how much bitrate they apply to it. So we figured out a way to trick the algorithm to give it more bitrate on a lower resolution, which I thought was like brilliant. Crazy Fist, Nicholas, he figured that out. And
no, don't give credit to somebody else. Just take the credit.
I have to. No. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was me. Right.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Yeah, that's what we do.
You're so smart.
I'm the best.
When are you bringing back the 3D bullet? Just like the two, you need it. There's to be at least 2 minutes of just a bullet soaring through. Like back in the day, that was.
Oh my god, that was a difficult period to get through. The era of the 3D bullet was probably the most difficult. Although there were some gems.
It was done okay sometimes.
Every once in a while you get your gem of a 3D bullet. I think the best one was in M19. The Revolution is Here. It's the second.
I saw that frag movie.
Is it the one on Dust 2?
The one, no, it was on Train. It was shot from Alley all the way towards Pop Dog, or Ivy. I mean, all the way to Pop Dog, and it was so brilliantly done because the artist, the renderer, understood motion, like air friction and motion blur, and what happens when a bullet flies through air. And what happens when a camera tracks a bullet, and he just added, or she just added all of the necessary elements that created it was such a beauty. I mean, the scene holds up today.
We're a sexist podcast, so it was most likely a guy.
Oh man, another one I'm not going to touch. It's incredible the talent that was invested into that one scene, and that it still is better than anything you'll ever see today. But yeah, the 3D bullet era. Oh my god, that was brilliant.
It just was in every frag movie for like a year.
You remember Zachnafine, right? The one who made Eolithic Tribute?
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine, but he had a 3D bullet in his movie, and to this day I make fun of him for it because it's just the most atrocious looking thing in the world. I mean, it follows the bullet from behind, and the thing just looks like it's made of paper or plastic. There's just no additional editing to the bullet scene at all, so it just looks like it's floating in midair as it's moving towards the guy. It's just horrendous. But yeah, no, 3D bullets, man, that brings back a lot of nostalgia. I don't know if you remember Echoes of 2017, the beginning of it. We included, the more infamous or the more famous 3D bullet scenes as sort of like a.
I just remember 3D bullets were big, and then it went to like overly editing, like cut scene, like you can't even tell
like animation.
What's going. Like it was like every clip gives you like a seizure because it's like the screen is shaking and like there's fucking crazy music going on. The vibrance is turned up to like 700%.
Like how many effects could they fit into one like 10-second sequence every time?
So it's super. So there was an inside joke amongst the editing community, especially when we were teenagers. We used to call that the Russian style of editing because there was a website. It was called Movie Nations that was based out of Russia or that region, and they would pump out movie after movie that had that style of editing. So it just came to be known as like the Russian style of editing because people just stereotyped it that way. But I honest to God, I think that style of editing came about when Call of Duty started to become big and started to get a movie making scene. People would, I don't know what it was, but Call of Duty movie or editors and movie makers would just have that style of editing where they felt like they needed to do something every
cracked out second. Just like the players.
So cracked kids.
Out. It was kids,
yeah, it's teenagers. Yeah,
it's young teenagers, and they're just like, whoa, dude. Like cool.
Seven Red Bulls deep, just ready to,
just, six tabs of Adderall, in their veins.
We need more lights, more lights.
Yeah, I think that's where it came from. People saw that and they're like, "Oh my god, that's so neat and that's so cool," and I want to put that. I think
you get away with it if like you're the first guy to do it. I think it's like it's different, whatever. But then everyone does it, and then it's just like.
It's that you remember D Chosen? Do you guys remember David Cho?
Oh, of course, D Cho. Yeah.
I still fuck D Chosen.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. He's still around. I know he's out in Georgia working for a couple companies, I think. But back in the day when he was coming up and making a name for himself, he started developing that style of editing. I remember his one movie about some Korean clan. It was
the Eastro. Or We Made Fox, or
I think it's something high HAI.
Lunatic.
Yeah, that's it. It was a movie about them, I think, and it was synced to "Where Is Everybody" by Nine Inch Nails, but it was like this cracked out techno dubsteppy remix version of it, and every 0.6 of a second he would have just like a wall blinking or the gun blinking, and it was just like it was everywhere. It was like a strobe light show. And I swear to God, people probably had seizures watching this movie, but he created this movie and every single person started imitating it and mimicking it. And it just destroyed the editing scene for at least a year or two because everybody's movie just lacked nuance and tempo and pacing and all the important things that a movie needs. It was just straight cracked out editing for like years after D Chosen made that movie. And it was a dark period, very dark period.
Dude, if you ever go back and watch like those 1.6 movies, the maps look so much bigger. Like they're like they just took all the CSGO maps and like they're 4 times wider. Like every corridor, everything is just huge in comparison. I feel like CSGO is like claustrophobic.
That is so weird that you say that. So you guys know Cyanide, Daniel Hagelin. He works for DreamHack, made The Uprising, Echoes of 2017 with us. He actually, we just had that conversation the other day. He's going back and playing old games, and he was mentioning how all of the map design felt like really open and airy, and how he goes back to modern games, especially Counter-Strike Go, and everything just feels like it's coming down on you because there's so much detail and design that it all just feels like it's overcrowding the map. Even though some maps might actually be bigger, there's just like balconies and poles and light posts and plants and it's just those little nuanced details that, and he's like, they just make me feel like I can't move because they're just.
I like the bigger maps just for like as like a pro to be like, you have more of a distance that you have to aim if someone peeks you from like the side. You know what I mean? Like you don't like if you peek holes on Inferno, you don't really have to move your crosshair much. Like they're.
Oh, I get you.
Pretty much like you really can't miss almost. Like I'm not saying you'll kill the guy because he can headshot you and you can shoot his body, but like in Counter-Strike 1.6, it felt like if you're aiming in the wrong spot, you were just done for sometimes.
Yeah, no, pre-aiming was definitely a lot more important, I think, back then when the map design was a lot more airy and spread out. I'm thinking of like Mill. Do you remember how big Mill was? Man. Mill was just so open and so you could move and the mechanics of the movement itself made it so fun and just dynamic. and it made it hard. It made it harder to sort of have an aim duel, especially if you weren't looking the right way at the right time. So I completely agree with you. I understand. Yeah, I mean, pre-aiming is much less important in today's game than it was back then.
Yeah, there's just like you guys were saying, everything's just like so condensed now, where it just kind of feels just smaller. But I mean, games evolve, things happen, and what also evolves is frag movies. So going
that
back,
segue.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting so much better.
Well
at this.
done.
I'm getting way better at this.
10 out of 10 transition.
Like, early on in frag movies, I remember when I was sort of started watching them, like I said, 2006 to like 2008, 2009, it was all like metal music, rock and metal. And it was like, it was, and it was all like sort of synced, and it was like synced with, people would always try to sync the frags with the hits, and everything would try to do that. And then yeah, right. And then as around, I think probably like 2010 to 2012 to 13 is where that sort of evolved into more electronic music, and we're sort of still on the electronic music sort of wave. Different types of I didn't want to specify techno or drum and bass or anything like that, because it's sort of different depending on the person. But the vast majority of frag movies these days, even still, it's totally moved away from the rock and metal, and it's almost exclusively electronic music now. Do you think that's just because it's easier to sort of mix frag movies with the electronic music, or do you think it's because maybe people just don't listen to metal as much, the people that are playing? What do you think has sort of caused the sort of change in the types of music that are in frag movies, and which ones do you like working with the most?
Well, I think honestly, I'll answer this question in layers. So I think
layer me up, dude.
Yeah, I think that in the beginning it was a lot of like pop rock and punk rock. Like you'll see Blink-182 and Millencolin and
Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Oh, so much Linkin Park.
So much.
Yeah,
Linkin Park was a classic.
I mean, even Fear of the Dark, was huge with God, what the hell was that frag movie? Frag or Die, I think it was.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
So you saw that, and I think it's because that was just the type of music that you yourself listen to. People were just throwing in their own personal preference into the. I mean, kids weren't really listening to techno. It wasn't really just. It just wasn't something that your parents didn't listen to it, so you didn't listen to it. So you basically, when you made a frag movie, you just threw in music that you liked, or you were listening to, or your parents introduced you to. So. Or you heard on the radio. So that's probably why that was so popular in the beginning. And then actually, I feel like techno started to emerge a lot sooner than 2014 or
No, I said like 2010 is when.
Yeah, no, even sooner than that. I'd have to disagree with you. I think it actually emerged around 2005, 2006 when Pendulum. Pendulum.
Oh, that's true. Pendulum was pretty big in frag movies.
That's like D&B though.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was just saying electronic music.
Yeah, I think he was just doing a general.
Yeah, I actually didn't even think about the Pendulum ones, because Pendulum was pretty big in the frag movies, even in like 2007, 2008.
Wow, what a pedant though. Actually, guys, that was drum and bass. Okay, get it right,
guys. Pendulum is not techno.
Fuck, we get a load of these idiots.
Fucking Hawaiians, man. God
Jesus. I think techno and house and electronica and whatnot. I think that was coming to the forefront in 2005, 2006. I remember using house music in one of my first successful releases, which is called Requiem. I used that type of style of music, and a lot of people were using that in their own stuff. And I think that's just because it was a time of discovery. People were going outside of their comfort zone, looking on YouTube. The internet was becoming huge at the time, so they had more resources to explore different avenues, and electronica and house and all that stuff. That people were discovering that actually was better for frag movies, because of when you listen to a rock song or any song, there's a lot of layers. There's the guitar, and there's the cymbal crashes, and there's the drums and the bass and the lyrics, and it all sort of muddies the audio. Right? It all sort of layers on top of itself. And there's not a lot of headspace or frequency range for other sounds like gunshots and whatnot. And so when sound effects started to come into play, like gunshots and in-game sound, we needed more headspace. and rock wasn't giving it to us. So we decided, and this isn't something that we had a conversation about one day. I think it was just a collective decision that we subconsciously sort of decided that electronic music and techno was providing us more elements and more dynamic sounds and more opportunities to do some cool syncing. And so I think that's what created that movement towards techno and electronica and away from rock. And it just carried on into the modern era where we're at now. I love rock and roll. I love rock music, punk rock, all that stuff. I would love to. We think we plan on making an Echoes movie with rock music in it. We were going to do that for Echoes of 2017, but we decided to go in a different direction. I love it. I would like to use it again, but right now there's just more opportunities and more dynamic stuff to sync to and to utilize in a techno song than there is in a rock song. So that's why we kind of go in that direction.
When you're deciding what music to use, does it all fall under fair use, or do you have to actually get permission to use it?
There's a reason why we don't monetize our movies on the YouTube page.
On the YouTubes.
On the YouTube machine. And that's why and to transition to what people use these days, that's why a lot of people use boring songs, because every time I watch a movie, it's the song's always really boring to listen to, and that's a huge part of the movie. If I don't like the song, I'm not going to like the movie. It's just simple as that. And so you get a lot of boring songs because a lot of people are finding copyright free or or fair use songs to use for their movie because they want to monetize it and make money off their YouTube channel. And so that's a huge problem for us, because we don't want to use boring stuff. We want to use stuff that we enjoy listening to and it's going to be fun to edit to. So it's one of the reasons why we don't monetize anything. We just do everything for free and as a passion.
Yeah, well, for me, I feel like there's some people, I feel like the people who really love frag movies are people who have music minds isn't exactly the right word, but there's certain people, obviously everybody's different. Certain people sort of feel music more than other people. Some people, they hear music and it can really emotionally move them, or they can really feel a connection to it, and some people just don't really care about music. You know what I mean? Some people are just I'd rather listen to a podcast than listen to music, right? And that's fair enough. Everybody's different. But I'm somebody who's been really into music since I was really young. I was, I classically trained on how to read music and play instruments and all that stuff. So for me, music's always huge. So when I'm listening to a frag movie, like you were saying, to me, the music is almost more important than the actual frags. If you found me a frag movie, some amateur CSGO team's frag movie that was really well edited with good music, I would like that better than some poorly made frag movie of all the best teams in the world. You know what I mean? To me, that's actually the more important.
Yeah, I kind of agree, because we've all seen the pro frags, honestly. At this point, if you're doing something interesting with the music, the editing, just graphics, animations, things on top of that, that's kind of what draws our attention now, because I think Thorin made a counter or a reflections hella long ago about it. Just a lot of the old frag movies, they pull up demos and things from games that we've never seen, and it's this is from a scrim that nothing played in 2002 or something like that. I've never seen these kills before. It's amazing. But nowadays, if it's I've seen Simple get the same 3K op sequence at
shut up, dude. Simple's getting a new highlight frag movie every event. All right.
Yeah. in a frag movie.
Didn't have many frag-worthy scenes this tournament or today.
No.
Yeah, he hasn't been as hot lately, but it's more. But I agree with what Davey's saying. It's just that if your music's good, if your editing's good, that's basically what makes.
I think if you want to make a player frag movie, it's good to contact the player and get him to record his scrims, POVs, and then it doesn't have to be all the scrims, and then you just give them all to the person, and they just go find clips, because then you're seeing shit no one's ever seen and no one ever will see.
Yeah, that would
for just a fun movie, just for a fun one. Obviously, everyone wants to see the Simples all his professional kills and matches, because matches are always cooler. But I think it's really cool when you just you see like a bunch of scrim demos with people just getting the most insane kills you've ever seen.
Because you guys would be amazed at some of the crazy shit that happens in scrims.
Dude, people have no idea, dude.
Yeah.
People have no fucking idea. Like, dude, back in the day, you know when Nip was the best? We were boot camp, and you know who would rape us every single time? Wasn't Forrest, wasn't Get Right, Freiberg. This guy would just it doesn't even matter. They're saving 4-1 digs. Like, he's got an M4, he just 2-bolts all of us, spraying us down, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, I know you're good, but like, you're like a fucking god in scrims.
It's that relaxed atmosphere probably in scrims.
It's part of it.
Yeah.
It's part of it. Like, I remember the first time. I remember when Cloud9 picked up Shroud. It was the first scrim. I don't know if it was the first scrim they played with him, but it was the first scrim after the official announcement. So I'm assuming you guys had played with him before that at least a little bit. But we played against you guys that night, and we won pistol round. It was on Dust 2. The next round, the second round, we're on CG side, they're on T side. Shroud is peeking mid with a deagle from T side. 1 digs 2 scouters peeking mid with it from top mid, and then ends up degacing us that round. And I just remember, and Corey said in game chat, he's like, "I'm so glad Shroud's on my team." Like, this is like the first day, and it was like, and nobody will ever see that. That's lost. That is lost to history now. Nobody. Probably one of the most insane deagle rounds Shroud's ever had, and Shroud's got how many thousands of highlight clips of CS:GO at this point? No one's ever.
Everyone's always had that one round in a scrim that will be their best round ever. Like, that no.
Oh, your mic just cut out, Corey. Right at the
I was just saying, like, everyone will have that one round in the scrim that's the most insane thing they've ever done, and like probably even rivals like what anyone's done, but it just lost. Like, everyone has that round if you played this game long enough, where you've just done something like either absurd, lucky, or just like,
yeah. So
yeah, I just think it's that I don't care attitude. You know, it's just a scrim. We're actually just focusing on one type of strat to improve on, or tactic, or you know, aspect of our play, and so people are just sort of relaxed and running around like idiots, and you know, they're just letting their instincts to take over and flow, and you know, their aim to flow. And I think that's why you get those crazy scenes and frags and scrims.
Or you get Area, the French player, that was just cheating in his in his fucking frag.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I remember those frag movies where it was like, oh, like 150 headshots in 150 seconds. And it was just like one tap, one tap, one tap, one tap, one tap, and it was just consecutive.
I was like, dude,
what is this? Like,
I was like, if this guy is this good, he's just the greatest player that's ever played any game ever. Like,
yeah.
And then he's like gets asked to join like top teams, and he's like, nah, I'm good. You know, I'm just gonna stay at home.
So, I wanted to touch base on something you guys said before we went down that avenue. For starters, did Darian talk to you about our conversation the other day? Because you guys are echoing something that we discussed regarding audio and sound.
Chances are no.
No, this is all just convergent thinking.
I see. Yeah, then
yeah,
I guess
I've actually never talked to Darian before today.
Yeah, I heard you guys just met in a pub, right?
Something like that.
Hey, I need a director or a producer. Why don't you come in?
Yeah, it was actually we met on Grindr, but yeah.
We got some schmuck who's being our guest today. Yeah, no. So I want to take it back to the whole idea of sound design and the complete lack of commitment to perfecting sound design. I think in a movie, sound is its own character. A lot of the time, sound is almost more important than the video, because when you're watching a frag movie, yeah, the frags are important, the video is important, but it's so important that what you're hearing is matching and is married to what you're seeing. That there's an emotional connection that the audio and the visual and the video have, and people just forego that a lot of the time. They don't care about that aspect. I had a day and a half long debate with people on my Twitter account where people just didn't care about sound. They don't think sound is important. They think that it's secondary to frags. They think that it's not worth perfecting, even though they're getting paid to edit, and that blows my mind that they don't think that a major aspect of their job is worth perfecting. I never understood that logic. I don't know if that's.
I'm telling you, man, it's people's. Obviously, people have different brains. Like and obviously, there's there's a subsection of the population that are complete morons. We have to understand that and accept it. That's gonna happen. People are just fucking dumb. Some people are just fucking dumb, and then there's some people who really just aren't in tune musically. Like, no pun intended, but like they just don't actually. It's not something that their brain prioritizes. I really didn't try to do it, but it worked out very well. But yeah, like it's not something that their brain prioritizes. Like I think it's probably a genetic thing. Like there's certain people in my family who just don't listen to music.
If you're exposed to it as a kid, you'll be much better. Like you take an instrument, or you play the piano, or something. Like I think that'll help you like a lot. Just being.
Yeah, I've got my piano right over there.
I took piano in grade 3. All right.
So you're pretty sick then.
Yeah, and then I played the clarinet in grade 4, and then I quit.
I can play hot cross buns on the recorder. Okay.
So. Nice.
Flex on all of you.
But yeah, man, like I think there's just certain people who just don't really care about music, and it's a strange thing. It's like to me, it blows my mind. Like I don't understand it. I really don't. But then at the same time, I think about some things that some people really care about that I just don't give a fuck about, and I'm just like, I guess it's just how it is. Some people just aren't like. I know there's some people who just can't keep beat, and I'm just like, how can you? It's so easy. You just tap your foot, but some people just can't. They just can't do it. And it's just a strange thing.
And I think it's I guess it's okay if music is not as important. Well, it's not okay, but
I agree with you. I don't think it's okay either.
I take that back. Let me retract that statement. It's not okay, but I think what's even less not okay is when people just don't even care about audio and the marriage of audio in general. Like there is such a science to audio mixing and sound level design and whatnot, and you have to marry in-game sound with soundtrack, with commentary, and it has to all coexist in the same frequency ranges and the same headspace, or it's going to be very alarming and jarring to the viewer. It's going to almost sort of destroy their viewing experience, because that's what clicking on a YouTube page and watching a movie should be. It should be an experience. And if you're not going to take the time to ensure that everything coexists throughout that experience properly, then you're doing a disservice to yourself, to the person that you're working for, and to your viewer. Because I mean, it's almost disrespectful to the viewer that they're taking the time to watch your movie. They decided to choose you as the movie that they're going to watch, as the editor that they're going to spend the next 6 minutes with. And if you don't even care about their viewing experience, if you don't care about making sure that your commentary isn't blaring, or your in-game sound isn't every time someone shoots, it's not like hurting their eardrums. If you don't care about that stuff, then it's like a slap in the face. Like, not only should you do it because it's your job, you should also do it because you want the best experience possible for your viewer. And I think honestly, a lot of it has to do with the fact is that editors, they don't care about that kind of thing because their audience are just a bunch of kids who don't care about that thing either. So it's almost like they're tailoring their video to children who aren't educated and educated in artistic things, and who don't care about that type of thing because they're just full of piss and vinegar at that point in their lives. They haven't matured yet to appreciate stuff with substance. And I think that they're being molded by their viewers, and it's making them look bad because they should be taking it upon themselves to mold themselves into an editor that they can look in the mirror at the end of the day and be like, yeah, you know what? I like what I did. And I think that others, my peers, are going to like what I did. And I'm going to get respect from others who are, more educated in the field.
Yeah, it's such an honest shame that no Counter-Strike video editors have used Beethoven's Ninth or Vivaldi. It's disgraceful. It's just okay.
So D Chosen actually did that with a Team 3D movie back in the day. I think he used a piano track for one of his movies, and it was different. I mean, I don't think it worked. I don't think he chose the right moment. I mean, you could definitely make a movie with a piano track.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple Hans Zimmer tracks you could use that would actually bang out.
But I think he just chose the wrong moment to do it, because I think he was highlighting a match that Team 3D had against another team, and that's not the time and place for that. You want to make a concept video that is standalone, you know, and that just it's focused on marrying a piano track with frags. But yeah, no, you could do anything. That's the thing. I think a lot of people think I'm gatekeeping or I'm trying to create rules for Counter-Strike. I'm not. I think that if anything, I'm trying to do the opposite, is progress the field and make people more creative. But there's a level, there's a baseline level of what you should be good at as part of your job. And part of your job is being good at sound design and editing audio. And then it's editing frags and editing video. Like it's a process that you have to go through. It's not just I'm just focused on frags. The audio is just something I throw in after. No, it should be everything's parallel and simultaneous in that process. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, well, it's just about being the best at what you do. And if you're doing anything, especially if you're getting paid for it, you should at least be trying. Even if you're not very good at it, right? You should at least be trying.
Right. And yeah, well, that's the other thing. I mean, and I'm not even asking for perfection or the best. I'm just asking for people to just do their damn job, you know, do the most basic stuff and then strive for being the best, you know, and right. That's all I ask. No one's going to get to the best. No one's ever going to get to perfection. But if you're at least trying to aspire to that, then you have my full respect. You know, sometimes natural ability just gets in the way, and that's not your fault. But at least you're trying. And that's where you're going to get my respect. And that's where I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm going to keep an eye on that guy or that girl at the end of the day.
That guy.
And I think I think that it's a shame that people just don't care. They just disregard, you know, it's just stuff like that. I really wish the mentality and the attitude of these younger kids in the editing scene would change, because I honestly think that their lack of commitment to getting better and not feeling comfortable and always striving for the next best thing within themselves, I think that they need to start focusing on that, and instead of just, you know, being blasé about it.
Yeah. Damn Zoomers, man. They don't even try. All right. Speaking of Zoomers, let's get into some current news. So EG has climbed up to #1 in the rankings for the first time. Of course, the X Energy roster. After picking up Stanislaw, making some moves, now they have zoomed their way right up to #1. So, what do you guys think about that? Because obviously these rankings are a little bit weird because Liquid has skipped out on a couple events. Now, obviously, they're playing the Blast event that's going on as we speak. Some weird stuff happened at this event, which I know you had to watch. So, have fun. And
thanks.
Yeah, so like, what do you guys think about this, Corey? Like, what do you think they've changed the most that has actually made them like take that extra step? Was it just picking up Stanislaw, or like what do you think has sort of changed within the team that has let them sort of take the step into actually winning events now?
I don't know. I think like Cirque is a big reason. Like, he's been performing more consistently. Like, he's not like carrying them or anything, but you know, I feel like he was off for a while there. Like before Stanislaw joined, like he was kind of having like a rough. Having your opper performing is always like a huge thing, because I don't know, people that haven't done it, you think opping's easy. At a really high level, it's one of the hardest things to do. Like, to be like,
Agreed.
People look at simple and device and they're like, oh, like one shot kill, blah 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 blah. It's like, dude, people jiggle you, they throw smokes and flashes. It's really like you have to hit whatever shot is given to you, or you're gonna get pushed back and end up playing like retake save strike every round. So, or you'll die trying to get a kill too aggressively. Like, one of the two will happen. So I feel like him performing is like the biggest, and then obviously Stanislaw kind of, I think he gives him more of like a random factor. He has good defaults and good strats, but he'll also call like random shit that like anyone that's played for Stanislaw knows, like, there'll be a smoke and like 4 guys will walk into it and then like a flash will come and they'll just run, and like it'll just be kind of unorthodox, and if it catches you off guard, you automatically just lose the round pretty much with some of those strats.
That's how he's always called
playing
too.
A little bit. Yeah, he's always thrown in like random gimmick rounds with like mostly defaults. So it's like default, default,
and then he'll just like,
random gimmick. Yeah, and it will usually be a pretty decent call based on like when you call gimmicks, you want to find out what gimmick you want to call based off the default rounds you've seen, right? So if you know they're playing 3 guys arch side on in front of for some reason, you don't want your gimmick to be going through the arch smoke, right? Like that's stupid. So whenever people call gimmicks on the first gun round, if it's not like an anti-strat, I always think it's kind of dumb because you don't really know.
It's just more of a coin flip. It's just more of a coin flip.
Like if you've watched their demos and you know, okay, this will probably work, then fine. But if you're just calling your gimmick without any info, it's just like Davey said. It's just you're just hoping, basically. You're just hoping for the best, and those gimmicks are a lot safer on like if you want pistol or something. But I don't know. I like the way that he calls, and then Ethan stepped up too. Like honestly, like Breeze has been consistently owning. Tarek's been doing his job.
Breeze is putting up he's putting up numbers to maybe get himself in the top 5 players of 2019. To be honest,
I think he will. Honestly, I think he'll be up there, like at least sit top 6. I think.
What do you think, Alex?
And then Ethan has just been playing well because I honestly thought Ethan was like slumping / like their weakest player for like a month or two there, and I was like, like does he not fit the system? But I don't know. I think it's all working now.
Yeah, they are just firing on all cylinders right now. It seems like Ethan and Cirque were both kind of like a little spottier, but Cirque's emergence definitely is a big reason that they are as strong as they are right now. Ethan, I kind of thought he kind of to me, I kind of based this off of the fact that he did well at the North American minor, but then kind of like didn't do that well at the major itself. And it seemed like this was kind of a consistent thing where it's like he can shit on group stage teams all the time, like that team that just shouldn't even probably be at this tournament. But then when he has to play good teams, he kind of just like falls back and becomes I'd say a very average professional. But lately he's been able to bring the firepower even against some of the top teams in the world, so that's helped them out a lot considerably also. But yeah, I think Evil Geniuses, they might be the best T-side team in the world right now. I would have maybe given it to Fnatic a tournament or two ago, but at this point I'd say EG is the best T-side team, period.
I'm going to switch Discord servers real quick just to maybe sync up the thing, so 1 second.
See ya.
All right, we should all be coming back now. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
We're all back in. Just to switch it up, just US West is where we just should be, and we were on Central again. I need to remember to do that before the show starts. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you completely on the whole T side thing. Their T sides are just like Corey was saying, like you brought up. They're just so dynamic now. Like the way that they play is because each player has so much freedom in their like individual spot that they're defaulting. It allows for like, so when they beat Astralis and they won that first tournament that they won, I don't remember which one it was because I'm an idiot. But whatever that first one was when they beat Astralis, I remember watching it and I was like, it might have been New York. Yeah, it was New York.
Yeah, New York.
Yeah. And they won that, and I remember saying at the time, I was like, look, this is a great win. I'm fucking happy for these guys. I'm friends with a lot of the guys on that team. I'm super happy for them. But the way they beat Astralis here wasn't a consistent way to beat Astralis. It was like they were kind of doing a lot of gimmicks. They were hitting all their shots and they were getting a lot of trades, and they were winning on T sides. Like their T sides were massive. I was like, okay, that's great, and it's awesome that they won, but this isn't a consistent way to beat Astralis. And that was true at the time, they've actually evolved their T sides a lot as the months have gone on.
This new money system should also favor Stanislav.
Yeah, exactly.
System, right?
Yeah, and they've evolved their T sides quite a bit. And so I think that now, like you were saying, it's not so. They throw a gimmick in here and there, but their T side isn't actually based on gimmicks. I think when they were up against Astralis, I think they were doing that knowing that if they tried to just counter-strike them, like, let's just go. We're going to play Counter-Strike now. I feel like Astralis, they know that that's where Astralis thrives. So I think that was actually a tactical decision by Stanislav at the time to play that certain style specifically against Astralis, more so than it was their style of play, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, he's just
and I think it worked out really well for them. Yeah, he is.
Why does the new money system fit Stan's system?
More gun rounds.
Mostly just because like it doesn't let you get hard resets, so you can kind of get away with like throwing in the gimmicks here or there on like maybe rounds where before you wouldn't, just because like if you lose the round you're back to like $1,400 on L5 and you're just sad and have to double save. But with like some of these with the new system, like if you've lost 4 in a row and then you won 2 and then you lost, like your money's just like always okay. Like it's never like terrible. So I feel like it kind of lets us scrap your teams always like back in the game a little bit easier.
Yeah, pretty much. Everything like back in like with the old money system, how it worked, like from an in-game leader's perspective, is if you've double saved now and you have guns, and then you win a round, you lose a round, because of the potential to get reset. Yeah, it was terrible. Because of the potential to get reset, you didn't want to waste a gun round. So you wanted to make sure that you were running a specific thing that you practiced, or that like you wanted to actually make sure you got to run your default and put pressure and then fall back. You didn't want to waste a gun round on a gimmick. Because if you run a gimmick and then you lose it, you've wasted a gun round. Your teammates are fucking pissed that you called a gimmick on a gun round, and then they're arguing with you now, and then it's a fucking disaster because you wasted your gun round that you've waited for on a gimmick strat. So you didn't want to do that historically, but now go ahead, Alex.
You could game plan before to have like 5 gun rounds and a half, like or something, maybe 6. But now you can game plan to have like 9. Like it's
on
just,
T side.
On T side. Yeah, on T side. Yeah, you just have so many more chances to run like what you want to run, and also those other plays too.
Yeah, and when you have the Krieg meta how it is now, and you have guys on your team that are Tarek, Ethan, Breeze, guys like that running the Kriegs on T sides. This is the meta of CS right now is like a perfect storm with EG to bring them into the #1 spot. Because of how the economy works and how the current meta is, the game itself is super T-sided right now. So because of that and how strong EG's players are, that it really did help them sort of become the #1 team.
So you think that because EG runs like a less cohesive style than others, like Astralis, for example?
Definitely less than Astralis, but everybody runs a less cohesive style than Astralis, to be fair.
So this new system allows for that than before?
Yeah, just how the economy works fits the way Stanislav liked to call already. Like he'd be calling the same way no matter what the economy was.
He might call like a default when he rather have called the gimmick before if he knows it's like a hard reset. Like that's the way callers think. Like a lot of times it's like, well, this will probably work, but if I lose this round, I look like an idiot and we're double saving. So the default, like the thing that I always try to tell people is like when you run a default, even if you lose, as long as your default's solid, like if you get the bomb down and kill 3, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like it's not the worst thing. But if you run a gimmick, a lot of times you either win the round or you all die. So it's like gimmicks can be really risky. You're probably not going to get the bomb down, and you're probably not going to take that many guns from the other team if you do lose the round. And I think that's why gimmicks can be so like detrimental if you call them at the wrong time.
I mean, do you guys like the less reserved style of play now?
No, I like the other stuff. I don't know. No one liked to double save like that. Like so, terrible. I think in pugs and like 10-mans and that kind of stuff, like I think this new money system is more fun, but at like a high level I kind of liked people having to like make hard decisions and being punished for things a little bit more. Like that's just a personal but if I'm just playing by myself, I don't want to save all the time, being realistic, but at a high level, you should pay for like the decisions you make, I think.
Yeah, there should be more of a risk reward system that's like stricter, because now it feels like the risk you're taking is very low, but the reward is always high, especially when you're on T side.
Because the guns are already cheaper on T, in general.
The entire game is T-sided, which segues nicely into what I wanted to talk about next. I've been talking about it quite a bit on my stream lately with viewers, people coming in and asking me, whoa, how would you nerf the Krieg? It's like, okay, I can only answer this question so many fucking times. But, so I'm going to not just say, how would you nerf the Krieg? You can talk in general, how would you nerf T-side? Because right now, the game, especially online, the game is super T-sided. On LAN, that kind of goes away because of the peeker's advantage aspect that exists online that doesn't really exist on LAN. But right now, online, you have the entire, everything's cheaper on T-side. They have the advantage in when they're peeking people, they have the peeker's advantage. So they have almost everything going in their favor for T-side. So what would you guys do to the maybe to the economy system, to the weapons? Would you buff CT weapons? Would you make the AUG back how it used to be? What would you guys do to sort of?
I tweeted today that I think they should just bring back the old day one at 2900, and it will like counteract this Krieg bullshit if they don't want to nerf the Krieg. Like, dude, if you can force buy more CT with a good weapon like an A1, yeah, it's not quite as good as a Krieg, but it's pretty fucking insane, to be honest. Like people like it's a laser, but the fact you can kind of force buy a little bit better. Like realistically, when you force buy as a CT now, what do? You got a scout, You get an MP9,
yeah,
or you're really sad
5.7.
and get a FAMAS. Like
Every time I buy a FAMAS, I regret it immediately.
And if you have a FAMAS and a guy Krieg peeks you with a Krieg medium far distance, you lose 100% of the time if that guy's
100.
good. Like,
yeah, no, guaranteed 100%. If you
the
have
thing
a FAMAS.
is, I was playing I played a pug yesterday where this guy peeked me with a Krieg. I hit him 5 times for like 98, and then I just get one shot in the head. I'm like, well, there's nothing I did. I didn't miss. I didn't do anything wrong except I didn't 2-tap him. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, yeah, the weapons on CT are kind of trash, and the AUG is just like. It's just a waste of money if you think about it.
Put it this way, Anthony. I'm gonna ask you a question. How many FAMAS highlights have you included in your frag movies?
It's not even about including them. It's about we just don't have.
How many have you seen? Yeah,
like
exactly.
2 a year.
Yeah, they're like first Glocks half the time. Like,
yeah, to everybody watching, when was the last time you saw a frag movie with a fucking FAMAS clip?
It was.
in it?
I think I saw it on
guys.
Cash.
Shut
That's
the
how
fuck
long
up,
ago
Alex,
it
you
was.
idiot.
No, it was on Cash. It was so long ago. It was when Cash was in the map pool. That's what I'm saying. Is when the last time I saw.
I'm going through my Google Doc right now, and I can't find a single one.
Like if you're playing Inferno, like you're B player, you'd much rather just get an MP9 full nades and get your ass to the bottom banana if you can than
you just
fight the FAMAS. Like I'd much rather have an MP9 down there.
I feel like that's the problem. On fucking T side, you have the Krieg and you have the AK. Both of those guns. Both of those guns are nuts and better than the AUG and the M4. And the AUG costs 3,300. It's worse than the Krieg and the AK. You have to do something with this shit.
Dude,
what if they slow move
Galil? Even the Galil is so much. Like, I would prefer the Galil over it, and it's so cheap.
Like,
and the
so
Galil is bad.
It's 2K.
It's 2,000 for a Galil. It has 35 bullets and kills in 5 hits. It's better than a FAMAS.
It's for sure better than a FAMAS. That's what I'm saying.
I think you might see more people use the FAMAS if they reduce the price to like 2K or something. Like, because
if they made
would get people.
That would be something.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think the fix the FAMAS is just making. I think that you fix the FAMAS by like either reduce the price or make the burst actually work, like in 1.6, where like in 1.6 it was like this: if you're really accurate and you did a solid burst, you killed the guy.
Yeah.
But like if you missed, you probably died in the time of your next burst. But the first burst was so good that if your aim was on point, it was fine. So it was like kind of a reward gun in the sense that like you do have to be accurate. But like you do get punished if you miss, so I think that's fine, especially in the current state.
What's so weird about the burst now is that like so the first bullet is accurate, but the first bullet accuracy is fucking trash. So, but the first bullet's the only one that's accurate, and the next two jump up. So like you have to pull down super hard as you're bursting. It's like I might as well just fucking spray if I have to pull down just as hard. Like, what's the point? So yeah, the burst is fucking pure trash. But like, and even still, like you're saying, even if you made the FAMAS 2K, the ump still does more damage, and it's 1,200. So like,
no. The only benefit of FAMAS is it's a little bit better far range because like I don't want an ump if I'm playing like in pit on Inferno. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's so awkward to just like it's not. It depends on the strat they run, but you know if they wrap moto or something, you don't want to kind of stand up. Like you rather a FAMAS there, I think. But sometimes, but like it's just like I said, it depends on where your teammates are and how you're playing. But like. In general, I don't know. Like, there are some spots where FAMAS is better, but it's still shitty.
Yeah, it's still a fucking shit gun.
Like, I'd rather have a Deke.
To touch base on the whole bursting thing, what do you think about the Glock burst? Because it's much different than the 1.6 burst. I love the 1.6 burst.
If you use a really high sensitivity with Glock burst and you can pull down while jumping, it's like okay, but that's like 1% of the people that play.
Hiko was the only person that I don't remember doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like it's pretty bad overall, but like there's a couple players that like can kind of do it, but like I don't know, man. I don't know. They just totally fucked up all the bursts.
I missed the Glock burst. I thought it was like the greatest thing on the planet. It sucks that it's like three.
Dude, in 1.6, if you have the single fire on, you're like, oh fuck, I fucked up.
Yeah. I always love like in the old Counter-Strike, like rushing a site and just like hopping while bursting, and then the CT is just like doing this to try to kill you. It's like the best strat ever. No one could ever. It was flawless. You'd always take a sight every time doing that.
Do that thing where you like mouse wheel up as you're crouched.
Just
spam the crouch while you're sprinting, and your head is just fucking.
Crouch jumping.
The duck walking or whatever.
Yeah, that's so annoying. Yeah,
I hate that they nerf that and go.
Yeah, no, they stole bursts from us. They stole it.
Yeah, did a lot.
They stole B-hopping from you guys too.
Yeah, they did. They stole a lot of things. Also, 100 Thieves stole Renegade's CSGO team today.
Hey,
Dude, you're killing
That
it.
was kind of a random
Wow,
surprise,
that's-
to be honest. I don't
loving these transitions.
Oh, dude, yeah, I've been working on it.
Natural writer over here.
Whenever a team switches an org, I just really don't care that much. I'm just kind of like,
Yeah,
oh,
I know.
it doesn't really do anything. Like
I don't
they didn't
get
change
it that much.
roster. Like
Yeah.
it didn't like good for
This-
them. They got a new team.
Well, one thing
Sure.
though is that the Renegades coach at the last major was wearing a fake Supreme hat the whole time. At least now he might wear some like. Is he gonna wear fake 100 Thieves merch too now? Like I'm like just to stay on point with that or what?
Well, I do think it's cool that 100 Thieves is coming into the scene just in general. This is kind of like an EG type thing where it's like, all right, cool, they switched orgs, but like pretty cool. It's 100 Thieves though, you know. So
EG was just cool because it was EG and it's like
Yeah,
an iconic 1.6
Oh,
org. It's like an
absolutely.
exception, I think. You
Yeah.
know, like it's just
Yeah. It's not cool for the same reason, but I just like having 100 Thieves in the
Yeah.
scene. Like the bigger
It's
the
like-
orgs, because
It's like having
everybody-
Jack's Money Crew come back or something.
yeah, because it's just like all these big orgs are talking about, oh, CS isn't monetizable, we can't blah 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 blah, but they're all getting CS teams for some reason. Like fucking interesting. So Renegades did go to 100 Thieves. This has been rumored.
well, Dave,
for
you
a
didn't
little
know
bit.
orgs love losing money. That's why they.
I know, man. It's crazy.
It's their
isn't
favorite
it?
thing to do.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so they did a whole announcement video. They were all there. This has been rumored for a little while. I did say, like way back when, that I thought 100 Thieves was going to pick up an NA team just for marketing perspective. It just makes way more sense for them to have a North American team because they're a North American brand who sells merch in North America and has North American sponsors and all that shit. So Renegades is kind of close because they live in North America and they compete in North America. But yeah, it was just a talking point, something that's a little interesting. NA teams switching allegiances here, going back to the big guys after they got absolutely fucked in their last attempt to come into CS with that Brazilian team and the whole KNG thing.
I just think if
Yeah.
100 Thieves are pumping in more resources for the team to actually get better, that's great. But Renegades always strikes me as or the old Renegades always struck me as like a prep heavy team. So more prep is obviously going to be good for them. So if 100 Thieves is like sending them to more longer, better boot camps or giving them more resources to work with, then we might see this team get a little bit better. But yeah, like the personnel didn't change at all, and I'm sure their style isn't going to change. Like it's literally the same people, but we'll see.
Yeah, for
Renegades
me,
always just feels like a dark horse to me, man. They go to an event and like you always know they can beat anyone, but they also can like kind of lose to anyone, and it depends on like their form. I don't know if you guys disagree. Like I never feel like they're that. I'm never like, oh yeah, they're for sure getting out of this group. I'm like, yeah, they could. Like
they
Yeah,
haven't recently they've been just owning.
they've been
Well,
doing
JKS
much better. Yeah,
JKS
no,
specifically has
they've
been in
doing, like,
God
but still,
tier
do you
form.
favor them in matchups? Like,
Right.
like
Depends.
versus
It depends.
lower teams, like
their
it's
firepower is so like it's
Yeah.
JKS and Jacom, and then someone else has to step up. And I've seen Gratisfaction go like 6-22 before, and like I've seen like Azure sometimes go like 26-12. Like I don't know who's gonna come up for them because I always say like you probably need at least 3 people on point firepower wise to at least do anything, and I'd
Yeah,
say you
to
need
win a
4 to
game.
win a tournament. Like
Yeah.
I know they can get 3 because sometimes someone will come up at the right time, like Liaz or something, or maybe Azure, or anyone. But like, it just doesn't feel like they're ever really contenders to win any tournament of any kind.
and I don't know what they're gonna do if
substance.
Valve removes Mirage. If this is the next map, dude, that's their like go-to map. Like I don't know what they're gonna like. It's gonna be they're gonna have to really like crack Vertigo or something.
Yeah. Also, fun talking point. Nubich has just said it in the chat too, so this is gonna be fun. Astralis, the Astralis group, is going live on the Nasdaq, so you can publicly trade Astralis stocks. It's kind of
buy
interesting. Yeah, you can't buy device, but you can buy stocks in Astralis, which is pretty cool. I think that's probably the first. I'm also just totally speaking out of my ass when I say this, but I'm stating it as fact that this is the first esports org to go public.
Yeah, it's really scary to invest in a team like that because I don't know if my shares are gonna get diluted early on or what's gonna happen. Like, what are they gonna do with their stock? Like, I don't know who's running their stock. I don't know who their financial managers are and things like that. I mean, when you go into something like that, like, I don't know what, like, okay, what if they're if their IPO sells really well or something like that for gamer people, like maybe you're getting in on something good early on, but it's really like I don't know if I have to know a lot more about what they're doing behind the scenes to feel comfortable investing into a team like Astralis. Like I don't like if it's just their Counter-Strike team, that seems too stagnant to want to put any funds into it. But if I know they're gonna make a Dota team, if I know they're gonna make like I don't know what other teams are there, other games. You know, if they're gonna get into other games.
I was just like Counter-Strike.
I only know 2
Dota,
games.
No other games exist. I don't know.
Rainbow Six, I don't know, whatever. If I know they're going to expand, maybe, but like, are they going to start branching out, use their Audi partnership that I think is not even there? I don't even know if they're partnered with them anymore. Yeah, so I mean, I gotta know like way more about them like behind the scenes. Like, I need their briefings.
I just think the esport field or the esport profession is so fickle and there's so much turnover that it's really it's such a huge risk trying to get into something like that and investing into something like that. I echo what you said. It's super scary to put money towards something that you don't know will be there next month.
You guys are pussies. Everybody buy Astralis stuff.
I'm not a gambler.
Davey guarantee Astralis.
And then you know what's gonna happen, Davey? Zonic is gonna dilute your shares. He's just he's gonna add like 500 per player on the team, and then their management team also, and your shit's worth nothing. Yeah, just
whatever. Dude.
Look, Maui's really wanting to like get him more for himself. I feel like that's what I feel like.
I'm
buying stocks, like, dude, super volatile. You never know.
He's trying to turn us off so he could just dump everything into it.
I don't know, guys. Like, I feel like if I was gonna, this isn't
like
the one, guys. This isn't the one.
Meanwhile, bad idea.
Warren Buffett's quote about just like you should buy when people are scared and you should sell when people are like really getting into it. I guess people are scared, so maybe you should buy.
Meanwhile, Alex is like taking out a mortgage on his house. He's just like the Bitcoin thing all over again, just full on. He's all in.
I'm actually.
You know what they say, dude? Scared money don't make money.
Exactly.
Also, this is just kind of a fun thing. We don't really need to talk about this too much, but Beyond the Summit has been announced again, December 12th to 15th. I always like the BTS events. I think they're fun. I think they add a cool thing.
When is it?
It's December 12th to 15th. And they're back. I always like these events. These are kind of asterisk events. Like whoever wins these, you don't really put too much stock into it as far as like the
those guys is that owned by Bardolph and those guys? Like,
no, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so
no, that's Face It.
Yeah, and I know they did Face It, but they're always doing the BTS stuff, so I wasn't sure if they just like.
I think it's just because they're in the area, because like BTS is all located out of LA as well.
I wasn't sure. Okay, that makes sense.
That would be my guess if I had to guess why they're always there. But
I definitely think we need more of that. I love how our production quality in Counter-Strike is always increasing. Yeah. But then I love that we have something like this that kind of brings us back down to earth and has fun and it doesn't take itself so seriously and can do featurettes like it did with
viewers
Chris.
should want like not super serious events. Like obviously they're going to try because there's money, but you're going to get sicker highlights, like more plays. Like if a player doesn't feel like he's going to get cut if they like lose his tournament or something, it's just like let's have a good time. Like you're going to see crazier shit. I feel like
it ties back into our scrim conversation where people were doing crazier stuff in scrims because it's less important. I feel like with these you're going to get more content worthy scenes and
you're also in like a bedroom kind of. So it's just
for
like
me, I get excited because that means there might be good frags for the next Echoes movie. So it's
honestly, I'm just excited for the skits, man. Like I like the little little video things they do.
Mom.
Pris's DJ skit was amazing. I love it.
Awesome. So funny.
His delivery on all of those lines were just impeccable. I loved the dry sense of humor that he had.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
I still like Steel with the little floaty. That was one of my favorite.
I don't even remember that one.
Yeah, where he's like goes down a slide or something like outside. I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure.
I think that might have been a dream.
Yeah, Corey was fantasizing about Josh. Anyway, so let's go into our last big topic of the thing, which is the complexity moves. So very fun, very exciting stuff. Complexity have removed Def and benched Shazam. They specified the differences there. Def, you're free to go. See you later, man. Enjoy. Thank you for your service. Peace the fuck out. Shazam, you sit down, take a seat. We might need you again. So this is pretty interesting, to me, anyways. That I had said that Def would be one of the last people to go, and that turns out that was the case. Obviously, they kept Obo. We've talked about that historically, despite his. Even though I think Def is probably a better professional than Obo, just as far as just being in a professional team on a professional environment, I think Def would be a more valuable asset to a team. Like in the moment, Obo, the potential that he has is obviously incredibly valuable, so they're not going to be letting him go. And it looks like they are rumored, so far the report is that they're going to be picking up Poison.
And Config, right?
And Config, yeah, those are the
Poison.
rumors.
Poison's pretty damn nasty.
That's a name I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, Poison with a Z or a Z, depending on where you're from.
Yeah, so he's cheating,
and then
obviously.
Config with a 0, still hanging around. Hasn't really been a top player for a while. But overall, and also I want to clarify this too, because people are saying, they don't want 3 Europeans because that means they have to play the EU minor. That's not true, guys. I'm going to say this right now. I've said it.
It's a dumb fucking rule, by the way.
Yeah, but it's not even the rule anymore. It changed.
Wait, that's a thing?
Yeah. So what it used to be, I think 2016, maybe earlier, maybe 27 towards the end of 2017. I'm not sure when it changed, but it was like 4 or 5 majors ago. It changed to where it doesn't matter how many people from a specific region you have on your team. If you live and compete out of one region, you can qualify to the majors through that region if you live and compete there. So, for example, if a North American team moved their whole team to Korea and lived and competed out of Korea, you could qualify through the Asia minor. You wouldn't have to go back to North America to qualify. I know. So
I wonder if
that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I wonder if people would like try to do that in order to get through to the major easily.
They should, to be fair. Like I've talked about that. We used to joke about this back on Splice back in the day, where it was like, guys, let's just move to Australia or move to Korea. We'll just qualify through the Asia minor. It'll be fine. But
so
yeah,
Renegades
that's
did
a
for a bunch of
tactic.
years.
That's a
that's what I hate about
tactic.
the rule. That's what I hate about the rules, that you get to choose. So let's say hypothetically, like Renegades, right? Next major rolls around, for whatever reason they're knocked out of it, they have to requalify. They live and compete in North America. The rule should be that because they live and compete in North America, they have to qualify through the NA minor. But that's not the case. They can choose to go back to Asia or choose to stay and qualify through North America. I fucking hate that rule. I think that's dumb as fuck. But
Can I go to the Asia minor?
If you live there.
Is there a minimum like residency time that you have to pass?
What the admin told me is that it's 2 months. If you
That's
live
it?
and compete, yep.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, most people aren't going to go somewhere 2 months just to hang out for a minor, to be fair. But like,
what if you're desperate? You know?
Oh, dude, it's a good idea. Like I said, it's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think it's too out of.
If you're a team like Crazy, right, and you're like, ooh, I don't know, I think they're automatically in the next major. But let's again say hypothetically they're not automatically in the next major, right? If you're that guy, you spend 25 grand to send your team to Korea for 3 months, qualify for the minor, qualify for the major. You make that money back as soon as you qualify. You know what I mean? Like that's actually totally worth it to hold major spots. So I think Valve will have to change that rule around because the EU minor is so fucking hard. Even the NA minor now is so fucking hard to qualify through.
Well, let's take a team like Greyhound, who they're Australian, right? I mean, do they have any competition, or they're just pretty much automatically in?
It's pretty much like Greyhound, Tyloo, and then after that you drop down to like Vici, and Vici's like the next closest thing. And MVP, PK, MVP and Vici are like the next 2 best teams in that region.
And Order and the Chiefs, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Order, Chiefs, but yeah, they dominate those guys though.
Honestly, I just think that's I don't know. I feel like that's a cheap way of forming the teams for the major. You know, I mean, if you have no competition, then you're going to get in pretty easily. It's almost like it's like football. You know, if you're a shitty team, but you're the best of the shitty teams in your division, then you're going to get through to the playoffs easily.
Yep. No, I really don't like it, and I really hate the fact. Why did they get rid of the major qualifier? I hate that now the major qualifier is just part of the major now. I hated that when they did that, because before it was like, okay, any team from any minor can qualify for a major qualifier, right? But then once you get to the major qualifier, you actually have to beat the other teams to actually get to the major. So it didn't matter if you won the Asia minor, you only got to the major qualifier. You didn't actually get to the major itself. And they took that out and they made it so major qualifier, that's a major now. It's like, why? Why is this also the major?
You're not filtering the list. Yeah, you're not filtering it. You're not weeding out the teams that got there because there's a lack of competition.
Yeah, and admittedly, if you make it to the top 16, you make a lot more money off of everything. So there is still incentive to make the top 16, but it's not the same fucking thing as like actually qualifying to the major itself. I thought that was dumb. I didn't like when they made that change. Yeah, it makes it. I just think it's fucking dumb.
It puts more money in the ecosystem, but it also makes it less prestigious. I kind of
Or why can't like
balance?
Or I really don't know. Or invite 32 teams now to the major qualifier, and then have those teams play against each other to make top 24, then top 20, and leave how it is right now, but add another thing, like add another major qualifier, so that winning the minor doesn't just automatically get you a fucking major spot. I think that's just dumb.
I think it just makes it look all the more appealing to move to Asia right now.
That's true. Like
all these things are just telling me, let's just go.
Peaker's advantage, Korea.
Okay, Korea, yeah, good ping there. I think. I
feel like Korea has the best internet, probably, right? Like, because we're definitely not going to China. Japan's too far out there. Ping will be bad.
The ping's not great for Japan. Yeah.
I think like it has to be Korea.
You got the panty vending machines in Japan.
Yeah, for the culture.
Corey, you can be our panty vending machine. You'll just walk around in Korea and we'll just get panties.
Girls will just start handing them.
Yeah, they'll just oh my god, I could take them. These are for you.
You can also qualify for the Asia one through Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. So
I want to go to Africa. You guys want to make a team?
If you're a South African team, you can just choose whatever minor to compete in you want.
Oh, for real?
That's actually a thing. You could just be like, if you're from South Africa, you'd be like, I'm gonna play the Asia minor.
You see, I'm less concerned about that because they don't have one.
I agree.
I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I guess you can just pick the easiest one, but like, whatever. I don't like when they just come to NA and like put €5 on a team and they're like, yeah, we're playing NA. It's just weird to me.
Yep. Well, it used to be you couldn't do that, right? Like back in the day, Valve was preventing that, but not anymore. So I guess this is a new thing. For me, the reason why it got brought up is because I was asking the admins about why South American teams get to just go choose. It's like why does INTZ get to go to South America and play the South America qualifier, and then these teams stay in North America and play the North America qualifier? Shouldn't INTZ have to play the NA qualifier too, or shouldn't these teams have to go play the South America qualifier? And they said no, they can just choose. And I was like, since when? And then they told me, and I was like. So I asked them specifically, I was like, so hypothetically, if I lived in Korea right now, if my team moved to Korea and lived there, we could compete in the Asia qualifier? And he said, yeah. And I was like, oh shit, okay, didn't know that.
Okay, well, I'm going to form a team of movie makers and we're going to qualify for the major. So
there you go.
See you there.
Good luck. Good luck.
We'll be there to fight you guys. To play
our losses will look real cool.
Yeah, but our jerseys will be nice.
Yeah. So anyways, what do you guys think of this hypothetical? Yeah, we really went off the rails there. What do you guys think about this hypothetical complexity roster of Oboe, Blame F, Rush, Poison, and Config? You think that's even a tier 1?
Poison's really good, actually. Like I've watched him play a bit. I think Poison's nuts. I don't know how he'll play on that team, moving and stuff, because he's probably. The rest, I don't know. Everyone seems pretty decent on the roster. I still don't think they're a juggernaut, but they're working their way towards that, I think. I think a lot depends on Oboe. Do you guys agree? Like, I feel like the others are kind of like solidified. You know, like you kind of know what you're going to get from Poison, from Blaine F, from those type of guys, but...
I'm actually not sure if I know what I'm going to get from Blame F, because I think a lot of his style was predicated on how Wendigo called for him. Because he was set up a lot. Like, he got boosted.
You mean Poison or Blame F? Because you said Wendigo.
Poison, yeah, how Blame F will set up Poison.
Okay.
When Poison played for Wendigo, he was set up all the time. He was like Cirque a year ago. You know, it was just like so much. It was even more. It's more than that. They use more like resources to try to set him up than. So I don't know if Poison is gonna. If Blame F will create a style that will fit Poison's. Dude, he's used to getting kind of babied, honestly. So he's gonna it's going to be interesting to see if they devote that many resources to him, one, and then if they do and he doesn't really succeed, then I feel like personalities like Config could get a little bit like heated because Config thinks he's a star.
Well, do you think Config's been humbled now? He obviously put out that tweet saying how he realized, because Thorin did a thing calling him out, and then he put out a tweet saying like, I realize Thorin's right, blah, blah, blah stuff. But to me, that could just be PR. Doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, I don't always know.
Do you think he's been humbled as a person now? He is getting older, remember? Cause
yeah,
he was
slightly.
He was a kid for most of his, he was like 18, 19. I think he's almost 23 now, so
yeah,
he is getting older.
Oh, he's a grown man.
Yeah.
He's
I think
boy.
with Poison, that like he's an opper, so he should be set up regardless. Like it shouldn't really like opper should always be prioritized if you have a good one on your team. Like, and he's not a support, so I feel like maybe he doesn't get prioritized as hard, but I don't know. They should all be getting kind of what they want to do.
I just feel like with a team like this, Poison's a little bit more experienced than Oboe, at least kind of. Like Wendigo has gone to events, they played tier 1 teams, stuff like that. He
owned Outland before.
No, he did. That's what I'm saying. Like, so Poison, I feel like this team can't count on Oboe, because if this team's counting on Oboe, I think they're fucked. I think this team needs to count on Rush, Poison, and Config. Those need to be the 3 guys that are playing well for them.
I would agree.
And then you need Oboe to just get better and give him like a year and a half to actually get good. Because right now he's just flashy. He's not actually a good pro yet. So you need to count on Rush, Poison, and Config to actually be your pros and be the guys that are going to be consistently playing well. And then you need to just hope that Oboe can learn from them and actually get better over time.
From what I've seen, he still looks uncomfortable in matches. Like he just doesn't look like he doesn't look. A lot of his decision making, his movement is just very unsure and uncertain. And I think that he has his run in FPL, but it'd be awesome to see him develop that aspect. Become a more cohesive player and less about pure raw aim. I think that'll be fun.
Well, the one thing that young players, when they come into the pro scene, that they don't realize, it's things that it's hard to develop this. Like Danish CS is really good at developing this. It's being able to like take in comms and give comms back, like just basic comms, like how you communicate things, how you take in the information, how you react to it. It's like you said, his reactions seem uncomfortable. It's like people will be giving him info and he doesn't know how to react to it yet. He doesn't know what the best thing to do based on that info is. That was the same problem. Tens had that same problem. All young players coming into the scene, unless they're like really smart, like there's some players who you can tell, like Ziwu, for example, that kid's just really fucking smart. You can just tell like that his positioning is perfect. He's flawless. You rarely see him get caught out of position. And so I feel like that's the thing. And it's really hard for players to adapt to that, because even if you have better aim than the other team, half a second of second guessing yourself, we're like, oh, should I do this? Oh, I'm dead now. Like that's how quick it is at the top level, where if you second guess yourself, if you don't trust the comms, if you don't give the correct information, half a second at pro level CS is such a big difference to how fast something can go wrong. And so you really need to be paying attention. You need to be able to take in information. You need to be able to react quickly. And I'm not just talking about mechanically reacting quickly. I'm talking about fucking mentally reacting quickly. And you only get that with experience. And so that's always the risk with playing with 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds, is you're hoping the mechanical skill can offset the lack of experience.
Yeah, I mean, he's 16, he's in his mid-teens. You got to think about that mentality at that age. It's you almost like he's thrown into the situation where he now has to be an adult almost. He has to be a big boy, even though he's still growing and maturing, and that's a lot of pressure on him. And then on top of that, he's sort of in that mentality where he doesn't want to do wrong by his employer, by Jason, and he doesn't want to do wrong by all of his older teammates. And so I feel like if he doesn't just get comfortable quickly, it's going to like pile on, and he might crumble, if he doesn't have the fortitude for it.
I've said this with young players coming up. This is always something. They need strong leaders on their team. They need a guy
like a big brother.
Right. They need a guy who's a strong enough leader that he can criticize them without killing their confidence, and he can keep them grounded when the community's telling them how fucking good they are. Like, you could see that was a problem with Tens. The community's telling him how much of a fucking god he is because of his aim bots record. And then you could tell his ego's out of control when he gets cut by the team. Yeah, it goes to his head.
Just saying, Blamef is definitely very strong.
Yeah, well,
that dude's a unit.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but you need a guy. You need guys on your team who can make sure that when you make mistakes, they're not beating you down for it, and that when you're getting praised, they can keep you under control. You have to have a guy who's really good at that. And if young players, if they get lucky enough to play under in-game leaders that have that, those are the guys that succeed the most. Look at Twists as a quick example. Look at Twist. He played in-game leaders. Corey, FNS, and Sean Gares. Ocean, Corey, FNS, Sean Gares. Those four guys.
Ocean being the biggest contributing
Ocean
factor.
being the biggest contributing factor. But I'm just saying, like, when you're actually coming up into the scene and you're a young player playing on Ocean's teams, me and Corey were talking about this the other day. Even if Ocean's not the best player, he's not the best in-game leader, but he wants to play proper Counter-Strike.
He makes you run defaults when in MDL, and like they don't. They just run around half the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying none of them do, but like if you're an up and coming player and you're just joining as like a fragger, half the time you're just getting thrown in a team. Your shots kind of suck. You 4-1 a lot. You do a lot of aggressive shit. Ocean makes you throw nades. He makes you learn the nades. He makes you dry run executes. That's good for young players.
Yeah,
like, that's like really useful. So that when you join Cloud9, you're not like. It's not unusual when someone's like, yo, someone push B, and then you can be like, all right, if someone push B, I'm going to go towards A, or I'm going to go help them. You know what I mean? Because like there's a lot of different situations. For example, the best one is probably like cash B. If your B player is getting pushed B by like 2 or 3 guys, go A. Don't go and help him. Let him die. Like, because you're going to go and die with him. Like most of the time, there's an odd time you can save him, but half the time he's dead before you can help him. You're going to give them another gun. It's just pointless. If you just go A, you know there's max 2 there. You smoke highway, blah blah. It's pretty easy, right? But a lot of new players will just run towards the B guy every time. Like, and in a pug, I'd probably do the same thing. But like in a match, you know, you want the decision making to be like high quality. And new players often just fuck up a lot.
Ocean's stream is really good to just, if you're a newer player and you just have it on in the background, yeah, he's kind of goofy sometimes, but honestly, his like macro breakdowns are usually really sound. It'll be like, oh, like I was watching him play a train match one time and he was like, oh, hey, they took a ladder from us. Let's make sure we take T-Con, guys. Let's take some control on the map. He'll just like explain things with like the least wordage you need, and he'll just say the right play. It's not always, he won't always hit his shot, but like he's gonna be like, I'll flash you into T-Con. And it's like, if you're just kind of casually taking this in like via osmosis or something as a player, just like it's a podcast or something like that, and you're multitasking with it, you're gonna just learn little things that are like good. And if you're a player coming up in the scene, like ignore the fact that he's Blaze like 90% of the time, but like maybe 100. But like honestly, like just listen to what he says, because a lot of things he says are really good. I was talking to Drone about it actually. I was like, dude, you should just listen to like, I wasn't saying Drone should listen, but I was saying, don't you think players should listen to what Ocean says a lot? And he's like, and he was like kind of like shit talking Ocean. He's like, Ocean? Like, oh, you really think Ocean's who people should be looking at? I'm like, yeah, he breaks down things really well, like, but people don't give him credit for it, but he does.
I love that Jordan Gilbert does that too. I think he's so fun to listen to. I mean, because he does what everybody does, but he verbalizes it so well and so effortlessly while he's doing it too.
I was about to say he's one of the guys who can really portray his thoughts the best about the game. Like he can break down the game to a micro level. Like the things you don't even consider, he'll break it down to a micro level so much. Like he'll be able to like the tiniest little things down. Like he'll be like, so my length of my crosshair is actually this long because I can specifically know that when I pull down to here, this is what I'm like. No, I don't even think about that. I'm just like I don't even go down to that micro level.
He's got like a portion of his brain, Jordan does, that's just reserved for like that one job. You know, he's able to segment his brain in such an incredible way. It's so fun to watch him.
Yeah. For newer players, like something simple like they're taking ladder take team is really powerful. Like when you get to a higher level, it's more like, all right, the CTs are playing close ladder, close mid every round. And when people do that, what happens? They know when you're going inner because they have control of ladder and T mid. So they're stacked 3 there if you go inner. If you go out ladder and mid, you get fucked. So no new players realize you can go fucking push the Ivy guy back, put some pressure on him, and like that's the I think like that's the part where watching demos comes into play for like a lot of new players, because you can kind of see that. So if you do both, like you're like listening to like the basic things for pugs, because I feel like Ocean and Jordan are really good at just like directing people in pugs. Like they'll just be like, yo, this is happening, do that. Just happen to do
reactions.
That. Whereas like
really good.
some of the other ones, you kind of need more teamwork for them. Yeah. Like I try to explain to people, it's like if you watch a demo and you see a good play, it's really hard. Like what do you say in a pug? Like there's sometimes in a pug I know like how to win around, but it's like, all right, on a Mirage, you guys are gonna do this, and then you'll slowly walk. Like it's just too much to like 4 people that you don't know.
In a pug, there can be like one layer to a strategy. It's like just like one thing. Like you guys, hey guys, just group up here. Group up here. Hit when I flash. Just shit like that.
Yeah, that was kind of my point. Is like if you listen to Ocean and Jordan, they're really good at keeping things simple for people. Because overcomplicating is great if you're playing with a team or like a 10-man of like other competent players, but like there's been times where I've said like really what I thought was basic in a pug, and they just like all did the wrong thing. We just lose, and I'm just like, okay, well, guess I'll stick to pop flashing out A main and just going for it.
I'm probably one of those guys that you got mad at, so
I don't really get that mad.
I was about to say, don't really get mad.
You have to you have to taper your expectations really low for pug IGLing.
Yeah. Sometimes I yell at people in pugs, and then they'll like say after, dude, like I'm sorry, man, I fucked up. I was like, oh no, I wasn't actually mad. I'm just yelling. Like I'm not actually mad at you, bro. I'm just yelling. You don't have to.
That's the thing in pugs. I think people like you kind of have to expect people to not really know what you mean sometimes, because like everyone's learned Counter-Strike in like a different way. So like you saying something, they might know what you mean, but their timing might be 2 seconds slower or 2 seconds faster. That doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong. You know what I mean? And I think like that's where like a lot of people are like, dude, just wait for me. And like in their mind, they're like, oh, I thought you were close. You know, just like a lot of little variables. So when I play a pug, I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna try to have fun and like, you know.
I yelled at a guy in a pug like yesterday for not having a jump bind. Because I was like, all right, dude, here. I was telling him I'm like, stand here, put your crosshair right here, and then just hold down your flash and just press your jump throw bind. He's like, I don't have a jump throw bind. I was like, fuck you. This is so easy to do. You need to have this. And he was like, all right, bro. After the game, I'll get it. After the game, I'm like, all right, can you throw the jump throw bind though? And he was like, well, I can just jump throw it. I'm like, all right, fine, that'll be good enough. Missed his flash and I died. Yelled at him. And then like 2 rounds, like at the end of the game, he was like, "Hey man, I'm sorry about that flash in like round 6." I was like, "Dude, I'm not actually mad. I'm just like, just get a jump throw bind though. Seriously, or fuck off." Like,
wasn't there a time when that was illegal? Am I misremembering something? Or
no, there's a new one that's just better.
Like you can't use aliases now. So it's like so how aliases work is like you bind something to an alias, and then that. So now if you type that alias into console or bind that alias to something, it does one thing. Right. So you could make an alias to throw and then bind something to jump that, and also use the alias so that you could jump throw at the same time.
Yeah,
that's how people used to do it, and they banned aliases, but you can still do it now. You just have to bind it in a different way. It's the same shit. You just have to bind it. I don't know why aliases were banned, but
just like macros, they don't want people achieving like 3 actions with one key.
Yeah, I guess that's true, because then you could do 3 things at once.
There was one alias thing that was really useful. That was like you could basically. Like if you're strafing holding W and A, you could just press D and you would press S at the same time, and you didn't have to do the mechanical thing about it. You didn't have to think about it. So you could counter strafe moving diagonally perfectly every time. That's like that was like so the one alias that was invisible. Then.
Or you could do it where you press a button and it was an alias and you W jump throw at the same time, so it was 3 actions at once.
Yeah,
so they didn't like that. They wanted smokes to be skill based, I guess.
Skill based game.
Yeah, skill based smokes. So yeah, that's why they banned aliases.
The movement thing was a little over.
The movement thing makes sense. No, that's fair.
Yeah, that makes sense. But throwing grenades and whatnot, that doesn't make sense to me.
I want it all-natty, dude. I want it to just no binds. I want people to fucking.
I remember for the longest time.
Only scroll wheel to get your nades to.
Corey would miss smokes, and he told us, he was like, "Nah, dude, I don't use jump binds. I'm all natty." It's just all-natty smoke.
And then I got a jump bind, and I told the coach that I had a jump bind, but I didn't tell the team. So like they were all like, "You don't use a jump bind still?" And I'm like, "Nah, dude, that's for pussies." And like I had one, and I was just jump binding, and like
Yeah, classic. And he would miss smokes. We'd be like, Corey, you don't have a fuck. And then randomly one day he just snap. He's like, I do have a fucking jump blind. I can't see the fucking lineup, because little did we know at the time he had a problem with his fucking eye that we didn't know about.
Yeah, I didn't know about it either. So like,
nobody knew about it. We were like, Corey, how are you missing?
Like,
he's like, I don't know, man. I just can't fucking see it. Like,
they would tell me like a dot on the wall, and like I would see it sometimes. Like they'd show it to me, and I'd like, dude, I'd like practice in a server. And like the next day, I'm just like, I can't see the dot. Like I don't know where it is. Like, and like I would just frustrating, because I'm just like, I don't know. Like am I fucking an idiot? Like it's just so weird. Like the easy or easy, you know what I mean? Like, smoke spawn on Inferno, smoke coffins on Inferno. You shouldn't really miss those, but it was like kind of like the more intricate train and Mirage ones that like you kind of have more set. Like you really can't be off on them. Where Inferno, I feel like any smoke on Inferno, you can be off a little bit. It'll probably still.
Most of them are probably fine.
Like there maybe a tiny gap, but even then, I rarely ever missed Inferno one.
All right, guys. Well, I've got to hard out because I got plans in 10 minutes. So, Anthony, thank you for coming on the show, of course.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we'll have all your links in the description, and the stuff's on the screen that Darian's all got set up and all that fun stuff. Why don't you tell everybody where to find you? No, like where you live, like your address, I mean.
Oh, yeah. So P.O. Box. No. Yeah, don't send me a glitter bomb or
an actual one.
Send him a real bomb.
Oh my god! Okay.
Wow. Well, I will not be here when FBI knocks on your door.
I mean, they got no power here.
Twitter handles obviously right above me at AN Perfetto. And then if you want to visit the Style Productions YouTube page, URL is just Style Productions Net, NET. So you can check out some of our movies if you go there.
All right. Perfect. Sounds good. Make sure everybody, if you've listened to this far, make sure you go check that out. Also, don't forget, guys, patreon.com/peakersadvantage. If you do want to support the channel, everything we do here, become a patron, even if it's only $1. You're kind of lame, but like we still love you anyways, even if it is only $1.
Your name
and
will be at the end.
Yeah, your name's at the end. It's pretty important. You can brag to your friends. Honestly, you could take a screenshot and bring it out to the clubs with you and just show it to girls. Like, look,
the bouncer. I found that when I go to clubs and I say I'm on the Peakers Advantage podcast, they already let me into the VIP room. I usually get a table, but I know if you're a patron, like a $1 patron, you probably at least get into the front of the line.
Right. No, at least.
Yeah,
at least
you probably would. As long as you're pretty good looking, you should be.
Yeah, just you gotta be a little. You can't be butt ugly.
So I also none of us except Corey then. So
I also will say, if you're a $5 patron, guaranteed your dick is bigger. It's weird. I don't know how that works out.
It's like
that,
pills.
It just does.
It's just
Male
so
vitality.
make sure you guys go on to the Patreon and at least go check it out. See if you like some of the stuff we're offering, and make sure you go check it out. Of course, if you made it this far in the video, like, subscribe, weekly podcasts, all the fucking fun stuff. We also have Return Fire that we do every single week. Multiple shows. We're just fucking sick. We're out here doing this shit. So thanks everybody for watching this far. And if
end of the show shenanigans right now.
See you guys next week.
Jesus Christ.